sister wanted to buy a car? Yes. No, never. My sister wanted to buy my car, so she wanted to go drive to work. And he wanted to drive to work. Yes. This is Dionte Justice. These two, as soon as his sister understood while buying a car he wanted to drive. Going to the work, going to the work, always. Have a seat. Judge, case 604, Stewart versus Stewarts. Thank you. You're welcome. Mr. Stewart, this is your sister. Correct. Your sister needed to buy a car. As is that you wanted to buy a car for your sister. Your sister wanted to buy a car that she wanted to drive, then to work, and according to your complaint, then you gave your sister the car. As is, she wanted to go to a work, then she wanted to go to visit one of her children. Yes, Your Honor. And it is your claim that you gave her the car, as is that you gave her the title to transfer it, to get the car into your name. You went to get the car, you went to transmit it, you went to call the Walmart and said, listen, because the car was not under my name, but then you went to go get the car back and you want $2,500. That's what the case is about. Your sister says that you took the car, that you drove it as is, that you would damage the car, that you let him to borrow it, to go to drive the car. I don't know if he went to visit one of his children, to one of his visit to one of his grandmothers, stuff like that, etc. That you let him to drive the car to go visit to his mother from Greenville to Horton. Yes, Your Honor. That's she has a counterclaim for damages to the car, and then you cost $931,000 to the settlement that do your insurance company. That's the whole case. Correct. Just for my own information, you let your sister I come from a long-home dentist assistant, because when you were driving the car as is, you let your sister to drive a car. Yes, Your Honor. So what are you doing here? I'm just letting my sister to drive a car, and she was driving the car as is. That was my car. So you let your sister to drive a car, what she would have you drive a car as is, that you left, then you left the house, that you contribute to the house. Yes, Your Honor. Okay, now I want you to tell me, you were driving a car for many, many years. You driving a car. Yes, and as I said, that you let to drive a car for one of your children, that you were separated. Yes. There was no note on it. How much were the car payments? In total would be $750. Okay, so $750. You were driving the car as is. Yes. Okay, so you got $750. Then, according to the complaint, you went to take the car. Yes. So you took the car. So you took the car from your sister. Yes, and you took the car because, according to you, shout out to you, Nate Heather Wells, for coming into the stream today, because when you went to your answer that you went to buy a car. Yes, Your Honor. Because according to the complaint that Miss Frewa, she was your friend. Yes, Your Honor. Who is this? That's my witness, Your Honor. Her name is VB Frewa. Step up. Were you borrowing your sister's car? Were you borrowing you were borrowing the sister's car? Yes. So you were borrowing your sister's car to visit your aunt. Yes. What was your aunt's name? It was V.B. Ferrari. How do you know her? She was my cousin of mine when I was visiting before Horton. Okay, so she was your cousin. She wanted to visit you. Correct. Okay, fine. So you were visiting your cousin. You went to hang out for a little bit. And what happened next? And then we went to the OL, Texas. What is that? It's a steakhouse. We went to the steakhouse. We eat for a steak. We came back for dinner, and I realized that the car was damaged. Yeah, call the guys to the car? Yes, I do. I gotta take a look at it. And what kind of car were you driving? It was 2009 Chrysler Champion. And how much did you get for it? It was $6,500. So let's say I know about between $7,500. Correct. And you have your insurance company because your insurance company was Alien Agency's insurance. Yes, I took it out to my... No, actually, it was Family's insurance. Family's insurance, I see. So you took it to your insurance company because you went to take them to fix it, say, listen, the car was damaged. Did you have a conversation with your sister? Yes. Tell me what the conversation. The conversation is you would like to be paid for the damages to the car. She was asking if I were to pay for the damage. She said, okay, I'll pay for it. Then she asked me if I could pay for it. Why are you not responsible to pay for the car? Your Honor, I was going to pay for that, and the insurance company told me, don't listen to me. You can't tell me what they said to you. What you said was, it's hearsay. You were driving the car as is, that your brother let you drive the car as is, that you were driving the car because you were borrowing it because you went to visit your aunt. Yes. David Stewart is suing his sister, Awful Stewart, for borrowing his brother's car to buy for visiting his aunt. Now, you were visiting your aunt, according to you. You understand that when you're just borrowing somebody else's car, that doesn't mean when you're borrowing your brother's car to visit your aunt. Why can't you get your own car to drive? I want to tell you, I have thousands of cars in my life. I have $1,000 deductible. $1,000 deductible because you took over the payments of the car, because I want to tell you, I have grandchildren. I have 5 brothers and 1 borrowing doesn't mean when you borrow somebody else's car when you drive it. Yes. When you borrow somebody else's car, that means your brother let you borrow the car as is because you took out the $7,500 that you because you were driving the car because as is because you were borrowing your brother's car. You knew that's against the rule. Yes.
You knew that was against the rule.
Because you know that's against the rule.
White.
Yeah, put it down. What, but no. Swipe, baby. Swipe, but no swipe. Swipe, but no swipe. No swipe. Okay. You knew that was against the rules when you're driving the car. I want to tell you. Because if you knew that's against the rules when you're driving somebody else's car. Because if you're borrowing somebody else's car, I want to tell you, you were borrowing the car. Yes. Fine. So you were borrowing your sister's car. Yes. My brother's car. How many times did you borrow his car? And about say about 4 minutes, Your Honor. Fine. So you were borrowing your sister's car. Yes. What do you need your sister's car for? To visit my aunt? Fine. So you were visiting your aunt. So you're visiting your aunt, and you knew that's against the rules when you're borrowing somebody else's car. Borrowing my car doesn't mean that you're borrowing somebody else's. Your Honor, he want me to borrow his car because when I have the accident. Well, if you have the accident, sir, because you were borrowing you were borrowing somebody else's car, madam, doesn't mean you're borrowing somebody else's car. Your Honor, he want me to borrow. I know who I am. Tell me why you damaged somebody else's car. I want you to know. I know that I'm in truth machine. You were borrowing somebody else's car without any driven on it that you know that's against the rule. You know that's against the rules, right? Yes. Fine. So you're borrowing somebody else's car. You knew that was against the rules, that you were driving somebody else's car because you were driving it because you had no insurance. Because he has aliens insurance, because the insurance company would have paid $7,500 to say, listen, that car was worth more value of the car that was worth damages. You know that was against the rules when you're not driving. Were you driving the car with no insurance? No, Your Honor, was not that. The answer is no. So you were not driving the car with no insurance, no registration, and you had no license. Right. Right. So, okay. So you were driving, what were you driving somebody else's car for? I was following it so I could visit my aunt. You're ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Because what you said to me, that was a fear. Because you told me that you were borrowing somebody. Borrowing my car doesn't mean when you're borrowing somebody else's car, were you driving it? Were you driving it to visit your aunt? Were you driving to go to a steakhouse? Were you driving to, what restaurant were you going? What were you doing with your brother's car for? I was driving in for burger nights. Burger nights, yes. Let's go back. So you were borrowing your brother's car to go get food. How many foods were you getting? I would say about 3, Your Honor. Fine. So you got three foods. Yes, Your Honor. So you got 3 food to get for one of your children. How old are your children? 15 and 8. Okay, so you're getting your food for an 8-year-old and a 16-year-old. You got your 16-year-old to go get the food. You understand that's not against the rules, but you have your children to get the food. Because I saw the video. Because when you said to me, I got the food, because you said, getting your food out of the car because you know that's against the rules when you let your grandchildren to get the food out of your car. Yes. You know that's against the rules when it's taking Greenbelt. You understand that? Yes, Your Honor. Already. You want to? I want you to understand. Unless you want to tell me you're old, this old seasoned faced is gonna believe. Do you understand? Yes, Your Honor. Alrighty, let's start from there. So I went to go get the food. You grabbed the food out of the car. Yes, you grabbed the food out of the car because you let your borrow your brother's car for what? To go to work. What do you do for a living? What do you do? I work at don't think about it. Don't make it. You're making up as you're going along. You're making up as you're going along. I asked you, what do you do? I work at Leo Steiner. For how long? For about 3 years. And prior to that, what do you do? I am working at Just Fine. From who? As an assistant manager. How long you been there? For about an hour. Fine. So you've been there most of an hour. You were following to your brother's car to go to work at Just Fine. Yes. Fine. So you were borrowing somebody else's car. You knew that was against the rules. You understand that? Yes. Alrighty. Now, you want to tell me your version of what happened? Yes, Your Honor. So she was following my car, and I asked her, if you please, politely, please, bring the car back to me so I could go to work. What do you do for a living? I am working at Just Fine as a manager. How long have you been a manager? For about 3 years. I've been working for them as the night now. Prior to that, I worked at Starbucks. You were working in Starbucks? Yes. Really? Yes. Have you had a discussion with your sister before? Yes. Had you asked her that you get the car back? Yes, I asked her to bring the car back. What time was this? 7:45. Okay, so 7:45, you asked her to bring it back, and what happened next? She didn't bring it back as is because she promised to make it several hours. Judge Dionte continues at the moment. So she didn't bring the car back, and what happened next? The car was damaged, and then she wrecked it. And later today, you said that you were following somebody else's car. Following my car doesn't mean when you had children. Your Honor, because you're an idiot. Because you were following somebody else's car. Vivian Stewart says his sister, Awful Stewart, following his car and wrecked it. Now, you were following to your brother's car because you were borrowing it because that was against the rules. You understand that? Yes, that was against the rule because you were borrowing somebody else's car. That doesn't mean when you're borrowing somebody else's car, because when you're borrowing somebody else's car, that's ridiculous. Because you're borrowing, because he has insurance, you don't. Because if your insurance company, I want to understand this. You and I both know it that you were borrowing somebody else's car doesn't mean when you borrow somebody else's car. That's a bunch of baloney. Because you said I was borrowing my car. Borrowing my car doesn't mean when you've driven it because you were driven for a month. Because he'd been driven for like 6 months and you driven for like 2 months. That's kind of outrageous that you were borrowing a car to go get food. I want to tell you, you were borrowing the car to go get food, and you said to me, you said, listen, I went to go get the food to one of my children. Because I get to my food for my 8-year-old, for a 6-year-old, for a 2-year-old. That's a bunch of baloney. You know that's against the rules when you have a grandchildren because you have food when you get food for one of your children. I want to tell you, I know how to elucidate the interpreter. You were getting food for your children for use because what you said to me, it's a lie. You're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to lie to one of your children. And not because you have a responsibility, because you were an ugly dope parent, because you want me to believe you're the sister. You were supposed to bring the car back by the middle of the month, and you chose not to do that. Because that's against the, that's against the law, because you're not supposed to do that, because you want to lie to one of your children, and that was a fair. Because you were bullied. Because you were bullied. There was nothing in the text messages that you said, I will bring the car back by the issue of the order by October 31st. I will bring the car back by the middle of December. And now we're into February. Now we're into February. You're supposed to bring it back by January 31st. You didn't. Because your agreement is that you would chose to bring the car back because Your Honor, we have the worst. My brother won't let me to use the car. Because he says because it was in a big deal, you idiot. You were supposed to bring the car back by the middle of July. Because your car was repossessed, that your brother repossessed the car from you. It is what happened You were driven it for about an hour. Yes, but I was going to bring it back. He told me that you because you giving me a bunch of baloney. Baloney. Use your own car. Don't use somebody else's car when you were driving it. You don't drive somebody else's car when you're driving it. That's baloney. What? That's too early. You were borrowing somebody else's car. You made a call to your brother and say, listen, I want to borrow my car. To say, I want to borrow my car. Because I want to borrow my car so I can just drive to a burger house to say, listen, I want to get a burger for $1. Or can I get a French fry for $1? Because you said to me that you were driving in the burger house. That's what you just said to me. You said to me that you were driving the car to go get the food for your children. That's what you're telling me. Because what you just telling me is because I want to tell you because you were driving the car as is. You don't drive a car because you don't have a license. Because if the police stopped you, the police would have stopped you and said, listen, well, you got a ticket. You got a fine for $250 for a fine because the police told you, say, listen, you have to pull over. Because that's ridiculous. Because what you just said to me, that's a lot of baloney. Because if the car was wrecked, you wrecked his car. You understand that you wrecked his car. You do understand why I'm going. Yes, Your Honor. Already. You want to tell me why you wrecked his car? Judge Dionte continues in a moment. Have you been cheated? Go to JudgeDionte.com. Like us on Facebook. And follow us on TikTok. Now, you were wrecking your brother's car because you knew that was against the rules. Because because outrageous that you were borrowing your brother's car. Because your brother said, give me the car back and let me borrow it and so I could go to work. Because there's no question that you went to work at 4 o'clock in the morning, and because you said to me, I woke up like 3 o'clock in the morning to say, listen, I went to go to work because I need to borrow my car. Borrow my car doesn't mean when you borrow somebody else's car because you got a message. Because you went to call them and say, listen, the next day you say, I want to borrow my car. Borrow my car doesn't mean when you borrow somebody else's. You don't drove somebody else's car as is. That's a lot of baloney, because you want me to believe, because that's a lot of baloney, because you told me that I was borrowing my car doesn't mean when you borrow somebody else's. That's a lot of baloney, and you're gonna pay for that, and you're gonna pay for what you did to his car. Can I see the photographs what the car looked like? Yes. What kind of car you said you were driving? 2008 Chrysler Champion. And how much did you get it for? It was about $6,500. Okay. Y'all ever asked me to get a car fixed? I do. I gotta take a look at it. Your Honor, he asked me if I could pay the $1,000 deductible to get the car fixed. So why aren't you responsible with it? Why aren't you responsible for that? Because that was my issue. I asked if you wanted to fix the car. Well, that was your fault. Oh, that was a big issue. That's a big issue that you were borrowing somebody else's car. Borrow my car. I have 5 grandchildren. I have 5 brothers and 1 sister. I will never borrow somebody's sibling's car. If I would have borrowed my mom's car and say, listen, I want to go buy from McDonald's, to buy the Wendy's, I'm going to buy the Xbox gift card, PlayStation. I would never borrow somebody else's car. Borrowing my car doesn't mean when you're borrowing somebody else's car to go to my grandma's house, to go to my mother's house, to go visit to my friends, siblings. You don't do that. You understand? Yes, I do. You have to ensure that you take a responsibility in your community to make sure any other multitasks to make sure you don't take somebody else's car. You don't borrow somebody else's car, not from him, because you borrow somebody else's car. But doesn't mean you ask your brother. Use your own car. Get a job and get your own car. That doesn't mean when you take responsibility. It's not his fault anyway. It's your fault. You're responsible to pay for the damages to the car, which is $6,500. Because now I'm going to get to listening to your counterclaim. Your counterclaim is that Dionte was terminated. When he was terminated, it was January 6th and January 8th, and we fired him. So what? He's allowed to host a shift. He's allowed to do that. You can't do that. He's the assistant manager. What do you expect him to do? To lose his job? Your Honor? Because that was the only thing they do to the fact. Don't tell me what to do to the fact. Listen, I'm old. I'm a judge. And that's why I've been doing this for 15 years. If somebody would have left my job, It said, borrowing my car doesn't mean I borrow to drive a wheel, to take borrow my car to take it to the mechanic, take it to the mechanical shop to get the car painted. You should have it smart. Yeah, right. Because you should have it smart. Anything else? No, Your Honor. That's all I need. I want $6,500 to get your car fixed. Yes. Judge has been acquainted the amount of $6,500 because it's two side hustles. Because I don't think that it's necessary go into now because you think it's necessary that you borrowing your brother's car. You should have asked him and say, listen, let me borrow my car. Have you asked him? No, Your Honor. Judge has been acquainted the amount of $6,500. That's it. We're done. Thank you, Your Honor. What's an excuse to this? Let's do it. It's his former friend, Shay Streamer, for borrowing his car to the shop. Order. Alright. This case is 45 in the cognitive matter Johnson versus Streamer. Thank you. You're welcome, Judge. For this morning, you may get seated. Man, have a seat, please. Ms. Johnson, your case is that you and Mr. Streamer were friends to each other. Yes, Your Honor. According to your complaint, you went to go get the car, as is, that you went to visit him. How long you been visiting him? Yes, Your Honor. I've been visiting him for about 2 months. Okay, so you were visiting him until when? Visiting him for what do you do? What do you do there? I work in an Elmore. Spell it ALMORE space PLC. PLC is that a corporation? Correct. Okay. This is what the case is about. That Miss J tried to fire you. Yes, Your Honor. And you were fired until January 8th or January 6th, and you want your money back. That's what the case is about. That's correct. Miss J says that she fired you because you were not hosting an additional shift. She fired you, and she has a counterclaim. Because so far that's nonsense about your counterclaim. So I want you to forget about it. Okay. So that's part of your counterclaim. It's dismissed, Miss J. So I'm crossing out your counterclaim. Now I want you to tell me, on what date did she fire you? On January the 12th. You have a copy of the message that she said to you? I do. I gotta take a look at it. Your Honor, can I say one more thing? Yes. She fired me on January 8th. Then she promised to pay me back, and then because she won't let me get back in the game, because I asked her, because she unbanned me. She refused to unban me. She never answered my messages. She blocked me. She blocked you. Yes. Okay, so she blocked you on what? On Discord. May I see it, please? Okay, so because she didn't respond to your message, and she said, you're getting fired just so you know. And that's what she said. Right, and I told her she was falsely accusing me about getting me fired in the game. Because that's the wrong thing to do. Yeah, that's the wrong thing. Why had you sue their company? Because, I mean, you don't have to be a genius to figure that out, because you should have sued their company and say, listen, this is my fault, because it was their fault, because borrowing the work because you look like a nice man. Thank you, Your Honor. Because you were an assistant manager for Christmas year, because last year, because you look like a nice person, because I do think that Elmore, ALMORE PLC should not tolerate that business. Because if I believe that, because so far I don't believe them, because you're just making a lot of sense. Because if somebody would fire anybody, including her witness, Alex. Yes. Right. Okay. So in any event, so what you want is you want $6,500 for the amount of work that she fired you. She didn't unban you for the game. She didn't. Did you hire a lawyer? Yes, I did, Your Honor. How much were the lawyer fees? It was around $750. Okay. So $750, you would take the lawyer. Your mother would take the lawyer. Yes. And your mother would retain the lawyer because you went over to the courthouse and say, the defendants in the United Kingdom tried to fire you. That's what happens when they try to fire you. They got scammed. Because if I believe that, because this is a bunch of scam, because it's some logical statement, because it's contrary to this contract. Because if I believe the contract and what they did, because I don't think it's a bottom line, because what they did, because they chose not to get your refund. So Dionte may not be a tough cookie, Miss J. I want to tell you, he'd been here today, he would have sued you. Do you understand? He would have been here today because he may not be a tough cookie. He may not be a tough cookie because if he was working as an assistant manager for many years, because if my judgment, because he would have been here today because you were a stupid statement. Because what a stupid person would do. Because if you were the board or the director, because you would have tell your company an Elmore ALMORE space PLC to say to the plaintiff to say, listen, he's the assistant manager. He wants to start his own shift, and he was like a pretty psychiatrically. He's 29, and you took advantage of him, and you're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to do that because you're from the United Kingdom, and you're supposed to be act like a grown woman. To the independent woman is fully deducted to not to do that, and I'm telling you that's my justice. You had no right to ban him out of the game because you can't do that. Independently, I'm awarding Dionte $6,500 for falsely in the game because you banning him out of the game because it's not questioning in my mind because you gave him a termination. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous because she's suing you for thousands of dollars to get him unbanned because he's waiting for a lot of months. Because I don't think there's any suspicion that you tried to fire him. That's a baloney. Now I'd like to see the message that was from Discord, please. And you went to get a lawyer and you paid them $7,500. Yes, Your Honor. Okay. Ms. Shea, yes, I read the letters, the messages that you came out on January 6th. Yes. You said you may get fired for not hosting an officiatory shift. That's what you said. Yes. Why'd you say that? Because that was the messages that were coming up on my Discord, Your Honor. You should be embarrassed when you show that to me. Your Honor, you should be embarrassed when you show that to me. Because you should be embarrassed when you show that to me. Because what you said that to me, because that was true. Because if it was true, because he would have been the top cookie. He may not be crazy because he was on a war bus for many, many years. Since 2020, I believe, how many years when you were on war bus? Well, about last year, Your Honor, when I started. Okay. So, he looked like a psychiatrically normal person. If I would have said to Elmore Shopping, and Elmore, ALMORE, space PLC, they would have done this because they would have done that because he may not be a tough cookie. So you have to get his job back. Because you're bound to this contract. So you. Because I do think that you had no right to ban him out of the game on Roblox because you had no right to do that, but you were the board of the director. You may not be a tough cookie. He may not be a tough cookie, but you are. Because if I would have believed, because it may not be the smartest thing to do, that because you're not, the motion I could give you is that the court's maximum, which is you're not getting, because he's getting $6,500. Because if I believe with my jurisdiction, because he went to file a lawsuit against you, because there was no question in my mind that you would terminate him on January 6th and January 12th or the 13th. But you can't do that. You, as a sentence, accept this full responsibility as a board of the directors, ALMORE space PLC. Your responsibility is to unban him from the game with your commands, and you can't do that. So you owe him $6,500 for the work that he was compensated. Judging for the claims at the amount of $6,500. Your counterclaims dismissed. Thank you very much. The job is yours. Close an excuse to step out.